So if you've ever taken a cab ride, you can probably guess at what the most important feature is. Ready? Let's look at the output. We called tabular explainer.explain global, passing it in our test data, and fundamentally the next 3 lines, we just summarize the output in terms of the importance of that feature, and lo and behold, the top most important feature, drumroll please, is trip distance. Okay, so this is your first exposure to using a global explainer, using the tabular explainer to identify what are the most important features. You can see the drop-off is pretty significant. After the 3rd feature, globally, these feature importance values drop dramatically. Now, let's look at visualizing this global explanation. So to accomplish this, we can actually run this code in the cell to create what's called the explanation dashboard. Here, we take the explanation that we achieved previously and pass in our classifier model and our data frame consisting of our test data. Let's explore this data a little bit with some of the capabilities of the dashboard. So one of the first things that we do is we select the Data Exploration tab, and we set the X value to trip distance so that the horizontal values are trip distance, so how long that trip was, and Y value to predicted Y. So the vertical axis tells us how much was paid for that fare. And we see something kind of interesting, right? And that is that there appears to be a linear relationship that as the trip distance goes up, so too does the fare. Okay, that kind of stands to reason. Let's look at another feature. We can look at global importance visually. So before, we saw the global importance of various features just printed out in code. We can also use the explanation dashboard to hone in visually on those same scores. So I'm going to take this down to the top 3 features. And there we can see that trip distance, hour of day, and day of week are the 3 most important features. We looked at a global explanation. Now let's look at a local explanation. In other words, we're going to create 2 sample data points. We're going to pass it into this model, and the explainer is going to use that data point to tell us what features were important in the decisions that it made for that particular data point. So here in this cell, we create 2 data points. One with 4 passengers at 3 p.m. traveling 10 miles, and another data point 2, with 1 passenger at 6 a.m. traveling 5 miles. That's effectively what we've put into our data frame down here in this cell. Then we use the tabular explainer, and it's this time call explain local, passing in that data frame that we just created. The rest of this cell just packages it up, this data, so that it prints out nicely in the display I'm about to show you. So here we can see we have our 2 data points, data 1 and data 2, and across the top we have the most important features in order. So first would be the most important. So in this case, we can see that for data point 1, trip distance was the most important feature, followed by hour of day, followed by passenger count. And that data point 2 had different local feature importance, where trip distance was the first most important, but it turned out temperature, followed by day of week, were the second and third most important features, respectively. So with that, hopefully you have a better understanding of some of the capabilities you can use from Azure Machine Learning for both global and local explanations of your models.